After.
Yes.
Hey, I am here again, and it is Wednesday, middle of the day, hump day, and I have a person with some amazing energy on with me. Hey, Jen, welcome to the show.
I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me, Pam.
I am so glad to have you on for so many reasons, but one of the things we were just talking about was the 5 pillars of your program, and I definitely want to touch on those later. But folks, just to give you a little bit of an introduction for who Jen is. First of all, her personality and her energy are going to blow you away because I absolutely love it. But she is all about stress in our lives as entrepreneurs and understanding how an undue amount of stress is going to limit your success in your business. But she defines stress really broadly, which I like, and she deals with it in her coaching as a business and mindset coach focused on what she calls authentic success. And we were talking a little bit about burnout, and I'd love to get my problem with my guests is I always start talking with them before we go live. I get totally enthralled with what we're talking about. And one of the things you said I really want to bring up here is when people think about burnout and stress, what do they think about how to fix it?
I think they go into the place where like, all right, they go to self-care, and self-care is one of the pillars of my program, radical self-care. And I specifically use that term radical self-care on purpose because it's not bubble baths. It's not going and getting yourself a massage. Although maybe you should do that. Maybe you should put yourself first, give yourself a break in some way. But that's not going to fix your business. Mm-hmm. A bubble bath isn't going to cut it. And I do feel very strongly that radical self-care, taking care of the business owner, is vitally important. And that gets into, a number of areas, including what are you doing to relieve your stress? Maybe that's including some good habits like meditation.
And a bubble bath.
Maybe that's a bubble bath. That's your de-stressor to get you to sleep well at night. But sleep, hydration, what you're feeding yourself, what you're feeding your mind too, and how you're eating, whether or not you're moving your body every day, all of that goes into your energy stores as an entrepreneur. And that's one of the pillars. So I don't like any of this like rise and grind, just work, and then I'll have fun when I die kind of a thing, like later on, it's going to happen.
When I'm successful, it'll be different. That's something I want to point out because the when I'm successful, what happens when you're successful is you get a whole bunch of different stressors, not fewer stressors. It's different stressors.
That's right.
And we always keep looking at that next rung. So you never really get there.
No, it's a constant. It's all of and what we do as coaches and what we do helping people who are entrepreneurs, there's no set it and forget it. You can't do it once and call it a day. It's just like you can't go and
learn it.
You can't go run a mile and you're going to lose weight and be fine. And you never need to run another mile.
Oh my gosh.
These are habits and practices and things that we need to be working on across the board. And so I always like to look at and talk to the business owners that I work with, and even the people that are just, in my sphere that are entrepreneurs, is let's look at some real significant causes of burnout that exist within your business.
There you go.
And when we hit those foundations, those hit all of the other pillars of my business. Those are huge.
Yeah, talk to me about, you've got 5 pillars to your approach, which I love because it's the first sort of really holistic attack on stress that I've ever heard. And one of them really overlaps with what I talk about a lot. So if you could kind of walk us through those 5 pillars, that'd be great.
Yeah, the 5 pillars. The first one is your mindset. What do you have going on upstairs? And is that holding you back in some way? Do you just have some negative thoughts that are running through your head that are holding you back and causing you to be stressed out when you don't need to? And I have science-backed methods of addressing some key things that might be holding you back in your mindset. I like to say that I don't sit there and focus on, bumper sticker psychology and just some positive thoughts will cure it. We really go to the root cause. What's really holding you back? So you can get
What's an example of something that you trip over without naming names, but like what are some of those things that hold us back and add to stress?
Sure. One of them that would be related to things that you do would be money blocks and money stressors that they have. Something that's going on. They have a belief about money that's holding them back. You'll see that in pricing a lot.
Ah, perfect example.
Yes, you will see. I see that a lot with holistic and health practitioners. They get very caught up in how to set the value and the price for what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And often that has to do with beliefs that were installed in childhood about money not growing on trees is the,
saving up. If you had parents in the Depression, like I did, my parents grew up in the Depression. I just dated myself, but my parents grew up in the Depression, and my dad, his whole philosophy was, I will never borrow money to do anything.
Right.
So everything was earned and cash spent. There was no concept of productive debt or anything like that.
Right. And I think that that's an unusual, I think that's a concept that a lot of people are terrified of. All debt is bad debt. And that's not true, especially if you're an entrepreneur.
Right.
And that would be a great example of going in and saying, let's remove that. And let's assess, when is it bad debt? When is it like, we're not sure. And when is it the right kind of debt that's actually going to put your business in a place of growth?
Yep. Love that.
And get you to a place where you're not afraid of the debt, right?
Yes, and you're not afraid of growing your business.
Oh, yes.
Because of debt. Yeah, that's fascinating.
It is. It is.
Pillar number 2.
Pillar number 2 is having quality support systems in place. And that comes in the place of your team. Are you hiring out? And that can be independent contractors. That can be, are you hiring out? Are you getting the right support in terms of the software that you're buying to run your program, right?
Or do you have too much of it and it's all intertwined and
right?
Guilty.
Yeah, and this is where like, and some of this overlaps as well. Like the mindset for me, one of the problems that I have, and I work through all of this myself, and I created this program for me, and that's really what I did. I am someone who really likes to be in control of everything. And so I like to wear all of the hats. And I am a recovering micromanager. And
there is a recovery from micromanager? That's good to know.
It's a recovery you never graduate from.
Gotcha. Got it.
You have to constantly remind yourself. And that's what I need to do. I need to sit back. Is this worth my time right now? Should I be doing this? And I'll give you this is a very funny joke, but you met my son before we got on here because I was fiddling with microphones and what we were doing here, and I'm bad. I can get it done, but I'm bad at it. And so I summoned the 13-year-old who I'll have to give some ice cream money or video game money is really what I'm gonna have to give him.
There you go. It's not ice cream anymore.
That's right.
It's funny. Yeah. Here's a tip for people. I just started doing this week, as a matter of fact. I've done time studies of my time before and that kind of thing, and that's a little bit of a pain. But this week, what I'm doing is paying attention to every single thing I'm doing, even if it's a micro minute of doing it. And for every one of those things, I'm asking the question, should I be doing this? Yes. And 2 dimensions I'm answering it with. 1, do I like it? And 2, am I the only one who can do it? And the honesty that comes out of those questions I don't know if you can see this, but I literally have detailed in this notebook every single moment of the day because I want to know. And at the end of the week, I'm going to look at it and make a list of stuff I can delegate.
Absolutely. It's, do I do it myself? Do I delegate it? Do I,
systematize it?
That's right. Do I systematize it? And even sometimes, is it something I should be doing at all? Yeah.
And now I'm going to put on my list, should I call Jen's son?
That's right. That's right. Okay. We're going to get a landing page for him. Make sure it's tied to a cart.
Perfect. I like that. Yep.
Yeah. So then the third pillar is it, and it leads into, it's what are your systems, your standard operating procedures? Because if you have a team in place, you don't want to be micromanaging the team. You want to make sure that there are standard operating procedures that they can learn. Yes, you'll have to train them, but they can learn. And then anyone can come into the business and run it for you. Too often we create these businesses that require our presence and they require us overseeing every little thing that happens. for a team and for all of that support to be effective, you need to have excellent habits, systems, rituals, and structures in place that others can run the business for you. That's how you get to take a vacation as a business owner. That's how you create a business that's worth something that someone might want to buy.
That is such a key point that so many people miss. One of the things is, I mean, we all go through the point where we're the solo, not all, most of us go through the point where there's a solopreneur, and we get that. But once there is money on the table, it's time to start thinking about removing the brand from your name.
Yes.
And like one of the things I did by accident was kind of have that happen with my brand. It's Priorities Group. And for a while I was making it Pam Pryor. And I thought, wait, no, let's not do that, because it's all the better if it's worth a lot more at the end of the day when there's a system in place that can run people through. They don't have to rely on the fact that I haven't been hit by a bus or gotten sick or whatever it might be.
Right. Right. If you are the only one running your business and you are absolutely required, then you don't really have a business. You have a job.
Yeah. Somebody agrees. Great tip. Yep.
Yeah, you absolutely, you have a job, and you need to start thinking of it that way. And I am currently going through a rebrand myself. Now, I had a corporate name before. It was Climb Coaching, but a coaching business by itself where it was just me, I was doing exactly what I was advising my clients not to do. And so I, at the end of 2020, really started sitting down and started mapping out, what does a business that I have look like? How do I create a team? How do I back myself out of the equation as well? How do I become the true CEO and leader of a business where they are providing solutions and coaching and consulting to various business owners across, various levels that they are in their business and what have you. And I'm in that process of getting to the next level of my business that ultimately takes me out of it. And that's when it becomes much less of a job and more of an asset.
Yeah.
And a valuable asset.
For those of you who are in corporate, I always said the same thing in the corporate world when I was working in the corporate world with all my teams. And I did it myself. I said, the best way you can serve yourself is to work yourself out of a job. So make it so good, so dependable, so reliable, so systematized that you're not needed anymore, because then the next thing is up. And my job should be to do that too. And so I love it's the same message here. Very cool. So that's 1, 2, and 3. Mindset, team, and then habits and systems and structure. What's number 4?
Number 4 is, what are you measuring? It's measurements. Let's make sure that we're measuring what's important. So these are your key performance indicators. And these are also, this is the part that's right to your heart. It's what are we measuring in terms of your numbers? And a huge one for that is your cash flow. We were talking before, the number one killer of a business is cash flow problems.
Period.
End of story. People will say mindset is everything. Location is everything. Well, everything is everything, right? You hear it, you hear it. I swear I'm behind you. I will, champion you all the way. Cash flow is everything. It is. Yeah.
If you don't have cash, there's no fuel in the tank. That's all there is to it. And I mean, you have to have energy, of course, as well. But, with cash is the thing. And like all the work I do points to cash. So that's kind of the thing. And that's the thing that troubles you. We were talking earlier about the gray cloud that's kind of always hanging over people's heads when they're not ready to look at their finances. And even though you think you're avoiding it, you're not, because it's following you as this gray blur that's adding to your stress.
Right.
And that's why I love your whole process, because it addresses that as a reality.
Right. And there's so much fear around the money piece as well, that it's so often what's causing our burnout is this monkey on our back that we're trying to pretend isn't there, and we're ignoring it. And so not knowing where you stand financially, and it is mind blowing how many business owners have no idea. They know like a number. We have this much money in the account. That's great. That's not today. Right. They don't have excellent forecasts. They're not really sure. They think they can handle. That's a tremendous amount of stress.
That haunts them.
Yeah. It's haunting, and it's such a burden to carry that around, that is a huge contributor to your situation where you're burning out. And if you can go in and you can start to learn that it doesn't have to be as scary, that it doesn't have to be so scary. You can learn how to do this and to track it. You can do so in a way and create, and you have these tools. We were talking about this. You know, coming to you, I think sometimes people are afraid. They'll think, you know, I don't really want to go to this tax expert or this, you know, financial expert, because what is that going to cost me? Well, what is it costing you to not have someone like that on your team?
Yeah. And that's why it's a big part of why we're doing this group, is because, and which is why I was so excited to have you on, is we want this to be a safe place where people aren't scared to ask those questions. Because usually, or sometimes, not usually, there's guilt around not knowing those answers. And the bottom line is nobody ever taught you this. So there's nothing to be embarrassed or ashamed about, that these are open questions for you as an entrepreneur, even as a non-entrepreneur. We didn't get it in high school. We didn't get it in college. And it's very teachable, and it's very usable. And it just takes that whole measurement problem and puts it in front of you as something that removes stress. And now it becomes a tool that works in your favor.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that can be, you know, and there are some other measurements as well, like depending upon if you're a business that needs to get your lead generation through social media, we'll track those numbers. It's really what I really customized to identify what are the key performance indicators for you. And that can change based on what kind of an industry you have. I've worked with some people in financial services where they're really doing a lot of cold calling, and we're looking at what are their conversion rates. There's so many things that could be relevant, to you. If you actually have a brick and mortar, there's a lot of numbers that are really relevant to you.
Yeah.
I used to own a gym, and so I worked with a number of gyms, and so their square footage related to the number of people they have, that's a relevant number for them. So it's really digging in and saying, what do we need to be paying attention to measurement wise on a daily basis, a weekly, monthly, quarterly, yearly basis. And let's have a system and process. So we just know, all right, it's flagged. It's not a big deal. Let's go check it. Let's make our adjustments. Again, these are things that we never set and forget. All of these measurements are, let's figure out where we are, how we're going to move forward with those numbers, make adjustments along the way. And then you're good. Then you are running a profitable, growing business when you can get all of those things in place. And also what that does for you is it gives you the information and the data that you need when something outside of your control happens, like a pandemic.
And I can't imagine.
Yeah.
Use a realistic example, would you?
So, seriously, if you weren't tracking any of your numbers, and you have something terrible happen, and let's say it's not a pandemic, let's say it's your personal pandemonium that happens in your life, you know, and let's say you've got a business partnership and one of the business partners dies, right? You know, and you haven't really planned for that, and let's say this hits a whole bunch of things. Let's say that partner has valuable information in their head and you guys are trying to put it together and nobody knows how they did X, Y, and Z. You know, when you don't have these things listed on paper and you don't have these foundational items in place, it can really cause it can make a bad event significantly worse. And if you get them in place, it can take an unexpected or unusual chaotic event and you can turn it into something better. You can seize the opportunities quicker too that come along.
I love that. And I bet you find that they identify, but you just said it, opportunities that they didn't even know were there, because now you've put it down on paper and you go, wow, I didn't realize that was there. That's a big part of one of the cash flow forecasts I work with people on, is what you're going to learn in the first 3 weeks of doing this. It'll take 15 minutes a week. That's it. What you're going to learn is going to astound you. And if you do it for 12 weeks, you'll save money. I mean, it's amazing. And
it's inevitable.
Yeah.
It's inevitable that you will do better. It's inevitable.
I love that.
You'll gain information that you had no idea. And then the only thing that happens is they kick themselves if they weren't doing it before.
Well, yeah. I did the same thing when I got my knee replaced, right? I put it off and I put it off and I put it off. When I finally got it replaced, I stood up the day of surgery and it hurt less than post-surgery after getting a hammer knocked on my knee than it did the day when I went under.
Yeah.
Same thing. All right, what's the fifth pillar?
And the fifth pillar, I sort of started talking about that in the beginning. That's radical self-care. And again, this is not a massage. Get a massage. You know, radical self-care includes a lot of things like that. It includes go have some fun. Have some fun in your life and your business. Be a human, be a person, spend time with your friends, your family, the people that uplift you, because you, as an entrepreneur, you need a lot of energy. You have a lot of balls in the air. You want to do the things that energize you and revitalize you and get you raring to go so that you can be the best CEO of your business. And you want to, eliminate or minimize those things that are real major drains on.
It was carbohydrates.
And that can absolutely be one of them. Carbohydrates is something, and it's about finding out what's causing problems for a certain person. I'll tell you, for me, it was insomnia. Massive amount of insomnia. And so I know how important sleep was. And I went for, I did the sleep study route. I did melatonin. I tried many, many, many things. And I tried meditation apps as well. In the past year, I became a certified meditation instructor. I can lead a group in meditation. I can lead an individual in meditation. And what it ended up happening was I ended up hiring someone to teach me how to meditate because I was terrible at it.
I love it.
And I realized, at some point, let's walk my talk. If I talk about the need to hire experts when you're just not very good at it, and I wasn't, I hired someone and they helped me learn how to do it. And I started sleeping better. And then going one step further on the meditation is doing hypnosis. And hypnosis is really taking one step deeper. And I started using that as well. And I hired a certified hypnotherapist. And the idea was to get me into very deep state of relaxation. And I started to sleep. And so that helped in a huge way, in the way that other things didn't help. And so that, for me, sleep and figuring out what was going to work for me was a huge factor.
It was a big deal.
Absolutely. And I know, and here's the thing with the radical self-care. I could sit here and tell everyone that they need to take care of themselves and they need to eat well and they need to drink their water and all of that kind of thing. And the truth is they already know it. They're like, oh, wow, that's impressive, Jen. Thanks for the reminder. The part of my radical self-care is I'm going to hold you to it. It's the accountability. We know so many times we know what to do. We just won't do it, right? You brought up carbohydrates. I have a dairy issue. That's one of my issues. I really like pizza and ice cream.
I love it.
I do. Shoot me. I love it. But sometimes I need to remember I need to take a real hard look and I need to assess. Sometimes if things are not going and I'm really stressed out about my business, do I actually need to make sure that I'm eating better for the next week? Am I soothing with too many cups of coffee? I have been known to have 5 cups of coffee. That's not a good idea.
Yeah, guilty.
So I have lots, and because I have the previous experience as a trainer and owning a gym, I have a lot of breadth of experience about what are the kinds of things that we can do to make you as healthy as possible. I won't provide you with an exercise program or give you your nutrition, but I'm great at figuring out what will work for you. Let's figure out let's explore and go down and test whether or not this particular habit that you have related to, how you're conducting yourself in your personal life, is it holding you back in some way?
Yep. I love that.
And there are so many tactics and things that you can be doing. I've recently learned about Wim Hof breathing and cold water immersion therapy, and all sorts of biohacks and things that can help you. Does it make sense? Have you been doing all the right things, but it's not working out? Maybe you need to get some testing. Maybe you need to go and get your blood levels tested. Make sure that you don't have a problem. I'm not your doctor. I'm not helping you in that way, but I can send you in the right direction.
If you hit a brick wall. And also sometimes we hit a brick wall because we just need a change. in something. Like we've been doing something the same way for so long, and we don't even realize that we've come to dread it, or it's come not to be effective anymore. So that's kind of another thing that I think kind of gets us. But so folks, what I'm really excited about is that on Monday, the 8th of March, Jen's going to take over the Profit Concierge Group. We are handing her the reins, and she is going to keep you entertained all day long. So whether you're watching this live or you're watching this on replay, make sure to tune in on Monday and see what it's all about. I'm sure, I have no doubt, knowing Jen, there are going to be tons of tips you can put right to use tomorrow. In fact, we won't end this conversation without giving you a couple of tips you can you can put in place tomorrow in your business, in your life. But Monday, we get a whole day of Jen. And thank you so much for doing that. You are our very first takeover, and I'm really, really excited about it.
I am so excited about it too. When I submitted my ideas for it, I was like, yeah, she's just letting me run with it. I love it. It's going to be a good time.
We can't wait. Yes. And the other couple things I wanted to mention is there are a couple other places that you can reach Jen, talk to her, whatever. The first one here, I'm going to drop in the chat here, is her website, which is boldfireinstitute.com. And the second is her Facebook group, which we will run here at the same time. So it's called Business Breakthroughs. And Mind-Body Business Breakthroughs.
Mind-Body Business Breakthroughs. Yep. We like you said, it's a holistic approach. We focus on your mind, you as a person, and your business. It all matters.
I love it. Yeah. So couple things. I never want to end one of these conversations with that, where there are two questions. One is, what are a couple of very concrete tips that I could put into place tomorrow if I wanted to help decrease my overall stress level?
If you want to decrease your overall stress level, really take a solid look at your hydration. So we'll go with one of the body ones. Okay. Look at your hydration.
It's empty.
Very often business owners, they'll have a bottle like that, but then I'll ask them, that's great. I love that bottle. How much is gone? And how many of those have you had today? Put in some sort of system, whether it's a reminder on your phone, something that reminds you to drink your water. We know what to do, but we often don't do it. The key thing about water is how much more productive and focused you are when you are hydrated.
Guys, that's an easy one. Let's do it. Let's just make a commitment that for the next week, especially when Jen starts her takeover, just set a timer on Alexa or Siri or your handheld, and every half an hour, just make sure you're drinking some water.
Absolutely.
I love that. That's so easy to put in place. And I'm going to kind of evaluate how it changes my energy. I love that.
It's easy. And I also want another tip on that one, especially if you're a coffee drinker, because a lot of entrepreneurs are. I don't allow myself to have a cup of coffee until I have had 8 ounces of water to start in the morning.
Love
it's a great way to get you started and to remind you that I need to energize this vessel. And that caffeine is not the energizer. It's the water that's going to energize me for the day.
That's Absolutely. A fantastic tip. So 8 ounces of water before you have your first cup of coffee. Absolutely. Maybe even challenge yourself to have 8 ounces of water before you have each cup of coffee.
Absolutely. That would be amazing. And that may very well bring your coffee drinking down. If you
won't have time, you'll be going to the bathroom a lot, which is great. Yes, that's good though. Think about what that's doing.
Yes.
If that's happening, you're flushing all this stuff through your system just so much faster.
Yes.
I love that.
One of the things that I started the very first year I started in business, so 10 years ago, I started using a sheet that I created, and it was for how to manage your day. And what I did, and it comes from, the book, Eat Your Frog. Okay. You have three. So there's a book called Eat Your Frog, and it's, if you eat your frog in the beginning of the day, everything else is easy to do. So it's take the thing you don't want to do, and you want to get that done, or at least one part of it done first thing in the morning.
I love that.
Yes, absolutely. So I want you to eat your frog. I also called that
drink your water, eat your frog.
Drink your water, eat your frog. 1 to 3 things. They're the first things that you have to do. And again, this goes back to that idea. You hear a lot of people talking about these days, like, I get to do this. I'm so excited. Like, get in that mood where you're in an I get to do this mood. I have been saying to my clients for about 5 years now, I don't get to do what I want to do until I've done the thing I'm avoiding.
Because so it's not necessarily the hardest, not necessarily the hardest thing. It's the thing you're most likely to avoid.
Yeah, it's your frog.
I love that, because the frog is that's a little twist on that. I like that. I always looked at it as do the thing that's going to push me forward the most. Sometimes it's not that. Do that thing you've been avoiding, get it out of your way.
Right.
Or delegate it.
Right. Yeah. Because let's say something that's like you like to do. It's going to move the ball, but it's hard. Like but you like to do it. You're going to do that naturally. Mm-hmm. What's the thing that's still going to move the ball, but you keep putting off? And that by putting it off, it's building your stress, right? Because that's what I'm talking about. Let's keep our stress levels as low as like our toxic stress levels. You know, let's get those out of the way. So we're just functioning in our business very well.
Love it. I love it. Thank you. Thank you so much.
So that's a great habit. That's a great habit. And then and then the other one is I would do at night for your mindset. I would do a quick, if you're someone who goes to bed and ruminates about everything that you have to do, I would allow yourself at night for your mindset to give yourself a mindset dump right onto a and no holds barred. Doesn't matter. Like a lot of people judge themselves about having negative thoughts or being cranky and just get it out onto paper. And then the very last thing, what is the feeling I want to wake up with in the morning that I want to carry through my next day? And that's the very last thing. So dump all of whatever you're stressing you out, get it out of your head onto a piece of paper, be done with it, and write how you want to feel the next day. And maybe the next day, you just want to feel capable.
Oh.
Tomorrow, I want to feel capable. Monday morning. So Sunday night, when I go to bed, before I'm going to be in your group, I can already tell you that my feeling outcome for that Monday, the 8th, is I want to be energized. I want to have fun. I really do.
I love it. That is your group. And you can prepare for it the day before instead of just having to gas up right beforehand.
That's right. It's setting your mindset up for how do I want to be intentional about how I'm going to show up on Monday.
I love that.
Rather than being so reactive. And so many of us in our businesses find ourselves stressed out and burned out because we're just being, we're just putting out fires all day long.
All day.
That messes with your mindset. If you're more intentional about it the night before, that will set you up. So those are 3 super easy things that if you incorporate them in a week, you'll start to feel better. I guarantee it.
Here we go, guys. Drink the water, eat the frog, dump the brain, and think how you want to feel tomorrow. And I love ending the day with think how you want to feel tomorrow. Yeah. Okay, the last question I'll ask is what can any of us help you with? What can we do to help you?
What you can do for me is I'm really trying to grow my group as well. And if you can send me entrepreneurs who are, they might be some stressed out entrepreneurs that but they really want to take care of themselves.
Yep.
They're really trying to figure out, is there a better way for me to do business? Or am I stuck on this grind forever? And a lot more business owners are feeling that way. And I'd love to get them into my community. In my community, we do interviews. I do interviews with people. I want to share the love. I want to build each other up. I am not under the illusion that I can solve everyone's problem. We were talking about, I'm going to be bringing you into my group
we're so aligned. We're both the same way.
I think that we need to bring more people together so that we can lock arms and build our businesses together, because we as entrepreneurs can raise everyone around us when we start bringing our gifts out into the world. So I would love to have people there. I will also say you put up my website, Bold Fire Institute. And that is that new website. It's a new website for me, so it's under construction. So anyone who might be interested, if you go there and you drop your email in, you'll get notifications as new parts of that are being released. So
cool. And is there stuff on there like the tips and stuff that we can?
There will be. Right now, it's just drop your name in, and I'll be informing you as things come. But they're rolling out starting in the next couple of weeks. So I'm excited.
Beautiful. Well, I can't thank you enough for not only spending today, but for spending Monday to help really kind of help all this community that we're building here in Profit Concierge get the benefit of what you bring to the table. Your energy is awesome. I feel better just talking to you. I'm ready to go out for a walk now and just really hoof it.
Yeah.
And that you're giving us all that time on Monday. And folks, whether you're live or you're on replay, drop down in the comments whether you're live or replay and what the biggest takeaway here was for you. I know mine was I'm going to go fill my water bottle up because I am guilty of that. And it does make such a difference.
You go look, it's the science is there behind it. You will make better focused decisions if you're hydrated, and you will make mistakes in your business if you're not. Period.
That's simple.
It is.
That we can end right on that. Thank you so much. It's great to see you here.
Thank you so much. Yes. Appreciate it.
And we'll see you Monday. You all will see her Monday as well.
Thanks.
Bye now. Have a great Wednesday, guys.